By the end of this workshop, you'll have a strong understanding of basic concepts and the ability to create simple games from scratch. So let's embark this journey together and let's see what you can accomplish as a game developer. So about us, uh, before we dive into this workshop, let's get to know your instructor. So I'm Ashutosh Chaudhary, the Game Development Club Secretary at IIT Gandhinagar, and I'm also joined by my senior Yash More, who is the former Game Development Secretary at IIT Gandhinagar. We are passionate about game development, and we have a deep love for playing games, developing games, and participating in game jams. We are excited to share our knowledge and experience with you throughout this workshop. So, what is game development? So, most of you might have heard about this. So, anyone wants to answer what is game development? Like what you know about game development? Anything. This is not a right or wrong answer. This is just like you can answer anything. Anyone?
Please raise your hands if you want to answer.
You can tell anything, like whatever you know about making game or any, if you are particular about any particular video game, it's also fine. Any knowledge about related to game development. Okay, no problem. So I'll tell you, if we start with the basics, what is game development? Game development is a process of creating games, and it involves three key components. Here I have written designing. Yes. So this is where the game's storyline, the characters, rules, goals, and challenges are crafted. Then comes programming. Game programmers write the code that brings the game to real life, making it playable and interactive. Then comes testing. So testing is a crucial part to ensure that the game works smoothly with any bugs or issues reported and resolved. Now, if we talk about the roles in game development, so in the world of game development, there are various roles, each playing a unique part in the game creation process. The first one is the game designer, the creative mastermind behind the game, responsible for writing the storyline, characters, rules, goals, and challenges. So this is all done by the game designer. Then comes the game artist. So who are they? These artists bring the game to life through 2D or 3D characters or designing the environment, doing the animation, or even making the concept art. Next comes the game programmer. So game programmers are basically the coders who write the codes, who write the software, enabling player interactions and integrating artwork into the game. Then comes game level designer, focused on building complex and engaging game level and setting the difficulty. This is all done by the game level designers. Uh, then comes game tester. It is obvious by the name. Uh, this comes the testing phase done by the game tester. So quality assured experts who ensure game quality by playing the game, reporting bugs, and providing feedback on the gameplay experience. So this is all done by the game tester. And yes, this is also a part of game development. Then comes game producer. Finally, everything is managed by this person, the one who manages the team, the production scale, marketing, budget, and much more. So these are the major roles in game development. Now, if we talk about how we can become a game developer from basics, if we don't know anything, if we are a complete beginner. So here is a simple roadmap I'll share with you with how you can become a game developer. So the first one is learn the basic tools and master it. So what does that mean? It means the first step is to familiarize yourself with the fundamental tool of game development. This includes understanding the software and hardware required, as well as becoming proficient in the use of game development environments and tools. Whether it's a game engine or programming language, mastering the basics is essential. Second steps come: make small games and follow tutorials. So after learning the basics, what you can do is you can make very small games following tutorials, which are readily available on online sources on YouTube. You can find the tutorials, follow them, and start making very small games. Then comes the learning important concepts and component of game. So dive deeper into the key concepts and components that make up a game. This includes understanding game design principles, gameplay mechanics, the storytelling, and the game art. Learning these fundamentals will allow you to create more engaging and polished game. Then comes make project using all the components and concepts learned. So till now, whatever components and concepts you have learned, you can compile them together and make a compile them together and use them in one single project or one single game, so that you will learn all the and you will revise all the concepts and you can master them also. The fifth part is once you are familiar with making games, then you can participate in several game jams. You can also you are also encouraged to participate in the game jam, which is conducted by the Amalthea. So game jams are fantastic opportunities to test your skills under pressure and collaborate with other developers. These time limited events challenge you to create a game within the short time frame. So it's an excellent way to refine your development skill and unleash your creativity. So after you participate in several game jams, you can repeat this process for developing 2D games as well as 3D games. The process is simple. The process is simple as well as the process is same for 2D and 3D games. Also remember that this is not a fixed roadmap. Your journey is unique, and you may find yourself revisiting certain steps or branching out in different directions. What's important is your continuous learning and passion for game development. So now let's talk about the two pathways to become a game developer. First one is the first one is the conventional way. This approach involves diving into programming. You'll start with a programming language like C++. You will learn it, then you will pick up a game development library that corresponds to your chosen language, such as SFML. What is SFML? It is simple and fast multimedia library. Or you can use SDL, that is simple direct media layer, for C++. These two libraries are for C++. From there, you will begin creating small games like the classic Snake games, which we played in Nokia phone. Or you can also create a simple Chrome Dino game and gradually build up your skills. By following the roadmap, which we discussed earlier, you will become a proficient programmer. This path provides a deep understanding of coding and can even open doors to become an entire developer, engine developer in the future. But it is also important to note that this pathway is very time consuming. It will take a lot of time and patience to learn game development. So to on the other hand, the second pathway is using game engines. So we have game engines like Godot, Unity, also Unreal Engine. What happens is these game engines offer a user-friendly approach for aspiring game developers. They provide a pre-made tools and intuitive interface that allow you to link game objects, write scripts, and bring your game concepts to life with relative ease. So this is a fantastic choice if you are eager to start creating games without getting deep into the intricacies of programming. It's a quicker way to get your ideas up and running. Now the next question comes is from which game engine should we start? Which game engine to choose? So let's talk about the three popular game engines, Godot, Unity, and Unreal Engine. So you can choose Godot engine if you are very familiar with Python or you are from the Python background. So to code the game, it uses GD script, which is very similar to Python. So it will be very easy for you if you are from Python background. Next come Unity. If you are very familiar or you comes from the C++ or Java background, then this will be a good engine for you to learn. So Unity uses C hash to script to code the game. C hash, it is very similar to C++, or you can say it is an advanced version of C++, and it is very similar to Java also. Then comes the Unreal Engine. So this is a very advanced engine. I would not recommend if you are a beginner. I would not recommend to use it because there are many advanced functions which you will not understand as a beginner. So once you master these two languages, Godot or Unity, then you can switch to Unreal Engine. So this was all about the game development. Now let's set up Unity in your PC. So uh, since setting up is a time-consuming process, I'll advise you to for you install it by yourself. You can follow many tutorials on YouTube. All you need to just visit the Unity website. From there, you can download, and it will take about 5 to 10 minutes. After that, you can start using it. Also, I'd recommend you can use your student ID card, email ID, and register on the Unity with that. So you will get a student version for free. So once you install it, let me open the Unity. So by that time, Unity starts in my computer. If there is any questions or any queries, you can ask now.
If you want to speak out your question, you could raise your hand or you could message it in the meeting chat.
Um, so, Bhaiya, should we use like Unity Personal or what? Like which one to download?
For now, you can download Unity Personal, but after that, you can apply for the student version. It takes some time, maybe 1 or 2 days for the verification. Once the verification is done, then you can use the student version.
Student version means it is like what are the like benefits? Like it is the same only.
Uh, no, it is not same. Like the interface is same, of course, but you will get additional features in student version. You will get access to the Unity's asset store. From there, you can download free assets if you are using the student version. In the free version, you may not be able to download things. Okay, any other question? Also, the schedule follows like today we will just get familiar with the user interface of Unity. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, you will get to know some components and some about the game objects which you use in Unity. So you will know how to create them, how to use the components, and you will also get familiar with the scripting part, the coding part. After that, the last 2 days, we'll create a game together. I'll be creating the game, and you can follow me and also create the same game.
Okay, so Prince, if you're trying to speak something, you're not audible. So try to change your microphone or something, but you're not audible at time right now. So you could just use the chat to ask your question.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
I have a doubt that means can we use this UK means this Unity apps without coding? Can we means develop games just like using these apps?
Actually, to perform some activities, but with whatever you create in your game, like whatever character you create or whatever object you create, to make them action, to perform them action, you need to actually write code. The code can be very basic. It not needs to be very tough level or something like that. It can be very basic.
Okay, sir.
So any more questions? Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so yeah.
after you
What
installing this Unity, we need to install the editor also.
uh, Unity editor you need to install? First, you will install the Unity Hub. After
Okay,
that, you
okay,
will install the Unity editor.
got it, got it.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Someone said hello, right? Okay, so is there any more questions? Or if not, then I will proceed.
So we have two more questions lined up. I guess Darius is not able to unmute himself.
Okay. Someone, I guess, raised hand. If you can't unmute, then you can type it in the chat box.
The chat is disabled actually.
Okay, so if you have any question, just type it in the chat box. I'll answer them later. For now, let's continue. So I have opened the Unity editor, and this is how it looks. So you will have an interface like this. Here you will have four major components. This is the scene view. Yes, someone is scribbling. Okay.
Hello, sir. Am I audible? Hello.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Sir, am I audible
Okay,
right
so let's. Yes, you are audible.
Sir, I have a question like, can I continue game development with other field? Like right now I'm doing back so I have an interest in game development also. Can I continue with that?
Your voice is actually fluctuating, so I'm not able to understand it. Can you type it if possible? So if it's possible, please type it in the chat box. Okay, so let's continue. So this is the interface of Unity. Here we have four major components. This is the scene view, this box. Here we can see how our game looks from different perspectives. So here you can see three axes are mentioned, X axis, Y axis, and Z axis. You can view it from whatever axis you want, right? You can even change it like. So this is the scene view. Here in the left side, you will see a hierarchy. In the hierarchy, there are several objects named like main camera, direction light. So these are the game objects. Whatever comes into the hierarchy, they are called the game objects. They are basically different objects in the game. Maybe if you are making a cricket game, it can be your ball, your bat, your wicket, or maybe your player, maybe the camera from which you are looking, or maybe the light you are focusing. I mean, different things. All those things are called the game objects. So they are listed here. So for now, we have an empty game. They are nothing. So the predefined game objects which comes are the main camera and the direction light. So you can see this is our main camera. And in the small window, you can see how our game looks from this camera angle. So since it's blank, you will see nothing, just a horizon like of thing. And this is the direction light. So this is the light in certain direction. You can change it according to you. So this acts as a sun for uh, in the beginning. You can add different components. Like if I want to create a 3D object, I can create a cube. So here you can see a cube has been created. You can create different objects. You can rename them. And once you create them, like I have created a cube, for example, if you click on this, on the right panel, there comes a tab called Inspector. So what is Inspector? Here you can perform different actions and you can add different components to your game objects. So what are these components? These components are basically some properties which it should follow. Like if it's a physics object, you can add a physics component in here. If it is a graphic thing, something related to graphic or something you need to render, then you can add a renderer. If it's a 2D object, you can add a sprite renderer or mesh renderer. Other thing is the box collider. So these things we will discuss in the tomorrow's lecture or the day after tomorrow's lecture in detail. For now, I'm just giving an overview, like what are these things. So box collider acts like the boundary of your object. If anything collides it, it will collide from the boundary only. So you can set a boundary that is called box collider. Then, so this is, we have discussed the tab. We have discussed the hierarchy. We have discussed the inspector. Here you will see a project panel and beside that the console panel. So in the project panel, all your assets, all your prefabs, all your scripts, all those will be in this tab. If you click on assets or the packages, these are different packages. You can add different assets like your game script, or you can add your prefab. All these things are assets. You can add it here. So this was the basic overview of the interface. Also here you will get different options in the file. Game object you can create from here also. You can get different options for the assets, like you can import a new asset, you can import a package, you can export a package, right? So here you will get different options for the components which we add on here. So there are many different functions. You will get familiar uh, gradually. So this was the basic user interface of the Unity. As you will develop games or as you will search for the components and different game objects, you will learn them better. So the game objects and the game components, the components which you add to the game objects, you will get a clear insight on the tomorrow's or day after tomorrow's lecture. And after that, using these components and the game objects, we will create a beautiful game. Okay, let, let me get back to my original screen.
So, shall we conclude today's lecture?
Yeah, yeah, we can conclude. Yes, go ahead. We can conclude today's lecture. We'll learn more in tomorrow's lecture.
Okay, so tomorrow we'll be having our inter-IT silver medalist and our previous game dev Seki, Yash More, who will be taking the workshop tomorrow. And you can have their contacts, they are on the screen. If you have any doubts, feel free to reach out to them. Also, if you haven't registered for GameJam 23, please do so. Its link is in the message panel. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. If you have any doubts, please feel free to reach out any of the mentioned people on the screen.
Hello. Hello. Sir.
Yes, yes.
Hello.
Yes, yes. Go
Hello,
ahead.
sir.
Yeah, yeah, you are audible.
Hello.
Someone was speaking, right? You can speak.
Hello, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, I want to know that in the Unity Hub panel, when we are trying to download the editor, we can see the two versions. Like one is long-term support and the other is just normal. So, can you please tell me the difference between those two?
What options are you seeing? Can you please repeat?
So, we have that while if I want to install the editor, then we
Yes.
have one long-term support, like
Mhm.
long-term support, and the other thing is other versions. So what is different I mean, what is the difference between them?
Uh, I'd recommend you should install the simple version for now. Is there any option to install the simple version?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, then I would recommend for now you install it. After once the installation is done, I recommend to apply on the Unity website for the student version. They will ask for certain details like your student ID card, your roll
So,
number, your email
so
ID.
I have I have downloaded Unity Hub previously, and I have like I am using the student ID for that.
Okay, okay. Oh, so
Yes,
you
sir.
are already using.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So, uh, is there any problem you are facing?
No, sir. I was just wondering that whether what is the difference between that long-term support and that normal version?
Long-term support, maybe it's for the long-term use. Like the student version is not for the long term. It's only valid till you are a student or your ID card is valid as a student, as a college student. So maybe after that you need to purchase or something like that. I'm not exactly sure about it, but it
Okay,
may
sir.
be something like that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. And any other question?
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Let me ask. I want talking about game design. Uh,
Yes.
how do we determine and create our own game loops for the player and the premise for this particular aspect of our games? Thank
Okay. Sorry. Can you please repeat once again?
you. What?
The
Could
audio
you
is
please
not.
repeat your question? Actually, you are not that audible.
Yeah. Let me ask again. I'm sorry if I bother you, but I wanna ask about how we create our game loops for for the player and the premise for the particular our aspect games. This about game design. Thank you.
So you are asking about the game loops or something game design. Actually, your question is not clear to me. Like what exactly you are trying to ask?
It would be great if you could type your question in the chat box, please.
Yes.
I want to ask a question that like in the starting of the this session, you just told us like we can learn in a longer way, where like
Yes.
first first learning C++, then and
Yeah.
then in that way also we will use game engine for
No,
developing.
for that you won't be using game engines. You will be just programming in the that particular language only. But you will be using particular libraries which are designed to develop games. Like I told about some libraries that are used in C++. So
like,
you won't be using a particular game engine. You will just be coding in that programming language only.
like in the ID itself.
Yes, in the IDE itself. Correct.
So while coding in the ID itself, we can add like 3D characters also in that.
Yes, you can add. There are certain libraries by using that you can add. The functionalities, of course, there is some limitation that the functionalities are not very wide. You can perform certain actions only. You can so that is the main limitations. But uh, the pros is that you will be very proficient in that coding language and you can master that coding language and the uh, the gaming engines which use that coding languages. So it will be very easy to you to understand it and learn it. But again, the drawback is that it will consume a lot of time.
and on an average, like how much time is required to learn this unit like game engines, like
To
at
learn
least.
game engines, maybe to create just a basic games like maybe the Pac-Man, or you can say the Snake game or Tic-Tac-Toe, a very small game, very basic game. You can learn them maybe in uh, 1 week or 2 weeks. It depends like upon the student also, how much time he's dedicating. But if you are dedicating sufficient time, you can learn all the concepts which are used in creating these kinds of game within maybe 2 weeks. Or if you dedicate some more time, maybe 1 week or less also.
And to create like a simple game like Temple Run or something like that.
Yeah, actually, Temple Run looks simple, but it's not very simple as it seems to be. Like there are many different things. It is an endless runner kind of game. So you need to make an endless runner. You also need to create different 3D game objects. You need to perform different animations, perform different actions. So it comprises of a whole lot of things. So it's not very small, but also, if you learn all the concepts, then it may, and if you are developing it individually, that is, if you are an indie game developer, which is also known as
Mm.
indie game developer, so then maybe it can take around maybe 1 month also.
Okay, got it.
The time frame I'm telling is it's just a rough estimate. It solely depends on how much time you are dedicating and how much is your grasping power. It depends on that also. Okay, any other questions?
Uh, let me ask again. How about your response about the Unity newest latest license of terms about revenue share like that? Thank you.
Can you repeat? I still didn't understand what you just said. Maybe you can
Okay,
type it.
so I have the text here. So
Okay, okay.
what he's asking is, how do we determine and create our own game loop for the player and the premise for this particular aspect of our game?
Can you repeat once again, please?
Yeah. So the question is, how do we determine and create our own game loop for the player and the premise for
Okay.
this particular aspect of our game?
Okay, so as I mentioned in the Unity user interface, player is also a game object. So you will create a game object there. You will name it player, and you will add different components. If you are making a 3D game, then you will add a 3D character there, designed in some different software, or you can download it also as an asset. After that, you will code the player. You will add a C hash script if you are using Unity. In that, you will add different actions, whatever that player can perform. In that script also, you can add the game loops, whatever loop you want to add about the player, whatever action you want to perform for the player. So in that script also, you can add maybe for that single player, you can add maybe multiple scripts also. You need to inherit them all together if you want to use one property in another code or something like that. Okay, any other question?
Hello.
Yes.
So I'm wondering that for games you also need to, make all the art, and 2D you need to make sprites. So, and I'm not really good at art. So should I start? learning art also for 2D sprites?
Okay. So if you want to learn, it's up to you. It's your freedom. You can obviously learn it. But if you are not very much interested into that and you are more interested into creating games, so creating the logic or
Okay.
programming, then you can
Okay.
proceed in that field and you can download these assets directly. You don't need to create them.
Okay. Okay.
Or if you are very interested in if, like if you want a game that is particularly made by me, then of course you can go to make your own sprites and
Okay.
characters.
Yeah.
Otherwise you
Should
can
I?
download it,
You
it's
should.
your option.
Okay. Should I start learning animation too, on Blender or something like that?
If you want to be a 3D game artist, then you should learn because that's a necessity. Otherwise
Okay.
it's not very much required.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, as I mentioned, there are different roles in game development, right? So one person cannot do all the things. Like in AAA games, for let's talk about GTA 5. So there are many different aspects. There are the programmer is different, the 3D artist is different, the environment is different, the animator is different. Every
Mhm.
There are different roles performed by different game developers, right? So
Yeah.
one single person cannot make GTA 5 all alone.
Yes.
If the game is very small, like maybe you can talk about Snake or Flappy Bird or very small games like that, that can be considered to be made by a single game developer. But the very big games, they cannot be made. So they are divided into different roles.
Mhm.
So ultimately, you need to master one particular role.
So how much time do you think it can take to become a proper indie game developer?
Like I right now, I am in fourth year and I started the game development process in my second year. So till now,
Right.
I think I am not a, I will not say a very professional game developer, but I know like basics. So you can say maybe 2 years or 1 year, मतलब maybe one and a half or
Okay.
2 years.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions?
So we have two questions in the chat, one from Darius and one from Advay.
Okay, I can see the question from Darius Shibaga. Okay, thank you. But how do we give the player the impression of game loops, the core mechanic of our game? I did not actually exactly understand what game loop are you talking about? Like, what is this game loop? Can you elaborate a little bit? Then maybe I'll be able to answer.
So let's do something. Let's move on to the next question. I'll connect you and Darius through WhatsApp or something, so you could discuss over there.
Okay. Okay, Darius, I'll try to answer your question via WhatsApp. If there is any other question, then we can ask. Otherwise, let's conclude this session.
There's another question below Darius' question. I think it's from Advay.
No, it's not visible to me. Can you read it?
Yeah. So his question is, Unity allows so many components to be completed visually itself, like shadow and gravity. So where do I need to add the programming code? Why can't these areas be fulfilled visually as well?
Okay, so in the game engines, you can use maximum of these components without typing the code, but at last to connect them together, or to define. For example, uh, let's say if you want to move a player, uh, you need to write a code like, if the player presses W, then move forward. If the player presses S, then move backward. So this is a kind of if-else loop that you need to write in the program. Or if you want to create a game object at certain condition, like if the player clicks the mouse button, the left mouse button, then create this object. So you need to write something like this. So all this is done in the coding part, in the scripting part. So at last, you need to add some scripts to connect all of these components together.
I think that's it from the question side. So let's conclude the workshop.
Yeah. Okay. If you have any other questions, you can text me on WhatsApp. So let's conclude the session for today. We will get back tomorrow and learn some new things.
Thank you everyone, and do join tomorrow. We'll have our inter-IIT silver medalist Yash More taking the session tomorrow. You'll get a lot of things to learn, a lot of new things to learn. So please stay tuned for the Zoom link. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.